I remember the day she was born. It was cold, snow clung to the windows, and the town seemed unfriendly. But when I first held her in my arms, the world changed its colors. A small bundle, warm and fragile, and in her eyes there was a strange seriousness, as if she already knew more than I did. I promised myself one thing that day: I would do everything to make sure this child never felt alone. Her childhood was full of little joys. We rode bicycles by the river, flew kites, laughed at the smallest things. Her laughter was music to me. I often wondered what she would become. A doctor, a teacher, maybe an artist. I dreamed that she would find a man who loved her, that they would have children together. That was how I imagined her happiness. But children grow up, and each year they become more themselves, and less the dreams we hold for them. When she became a teenager, everything began to change. She locked herself in her room more often, answered my questions with short phrases, smiled at messages on her phone but didn't say with whom. One day, I accidentally saw a drawing in her notebook, two girls holding hands. My heart pounded faster. I told myself, it's just a trend. Kids draw anything nowadays. But the doubt remained. Another time, I joked, "So, are you in love? What's his name?" She looked at me sharply and said, "That's none of your business, Dad." Her eyes were like blades. In that moment, I understood. There was something she wasn't telling me. I kept pushing the thought away. No, she'll grow up, find a boyfriend. Everything will be normal. But deep inside, I felt that her path and the one I imagined might not be the same. One autumn evening, we sat in the kitchen. She was stirring her tea, silent. Then she said, "Dad, I have to tell you something important. I have a girlfriend. I love her." The clock ticked 3 times. Silence. I looked at her. She was afraid. Afraid of me, her father, who once promised to protect her. And that hurt more than the words themselves. I thought of all my dreams, weddings, an aisle, grandchildren. I felt them crumble like sand through my fingers. But in her eyes, I saw a plea: "Don't push me away." I stood up, put my hand on her shoulder, and said, "I don't know the right way to react. I wasn't expecting this, but I do know one thing: you are my daughter. And I love you. That's what matters most." She burst into tears and leaned against me, just like she used to when she was little. That night I didn't sleep. Part of me was still tied to the world I grew up in: rules, stereotypes, the voices of neighbors and relatives. Another part of me remembered the way she trembled when she told me the truth, and I knew she had trusted me with something fragile. I realized I wasn't afraid of her loving a girl. I was afraid of the world, of cruel words, rejection, the pain people could cause her. I thought of the life I imagined for her, the wedding, the grandchildren. And I finally admitted, those were my dreams, not hers. At dawn, I stood on the balcony and promised myself, whatever happens, I will stand beside her. Love matters more than rules. Weeks later, she came to me and said, "Dad, I want you to meet her." We set the table for dinner. When the doorbell rang, my hands trembled. She opened the door, and in came Maria, tall, slim, dark hair, nervous but with kind eyes. "Good evening," she said softly. "I'm Maria." We sat together, and at first there was silence, like a barrier between us. But I watched how she looked at my daughter, how she laughed at her jokes, how gently she brushed a lock of hair from her face. And I realized, these were the same signs of love I once showed her mother. By the end of the evening, my daughter took Maria's hand. It was natural, simple, and I thought, does it really matter who holds her hand, as long as her eyes shine with that light? When Maria left, my daughter looked at me anxiously. I said, "She's a good girl." And my daughter's face lit up with a joy I hadn't seen in years. But the world outside our home wasn't always kind. At a family gathering, a cousin smirked. "Oh, looks like you've got a progressive family now, huh?" My daughter shrank back. Maria lowered her gaze. I felt something rise inside me, the need to shield them. "This is family," I said firmly. "And if anyone has other definitions, keep them to yourself." On another day, at work, a colleague said, "I heard about your daughter, I couldn't handle that." I looked him in the eye and answered, "Try imagining your child being happy. It's a lot easier to handle then." The hardest moment was with my own father. He exploded, "This is shameful." And I said, "No. Shame is betraying your child. Loving her is never shame." Maybe he never understood me. But I didn't need his approval anymore. I had chosen my side. Years passed. I saw how my daughter and Maria built their life, how strong and confident she became, how happy. And sometimes I think, yes, I lost the dreams I once painted in my youth. But I gained something greater. I saw my daughter as she truly is, without masks, without fear. I understood. A parent's joy is not in a child living your dreams, but in them living their own. When I look at her now, I see that she is happy. And that is enough. That means I didn't live in vain.